Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday, December 2nd, only 23 more days till Christmas. Let's get started. Okay, let's look at our weather forecast. Hey, well, just a little bit changed from yesterday. It's supposed to be sunny through the weekend, but a little cloudy tomorrow. A few showers on Saturday, and we'll take this, and then back to Charles next week. This is why I'm wearing my Sounders jersey. Last night, the Sounders were in the Western Conference semifinals. Again, remember, they're the defending MLS Cup champions. I was there last year with my friends Corey and Todd. We watched the Sounders win last November here in Seattle. So they're part of the last, the semifinals here. So let's see what happens. Actually, the Sounders did win 1-0. They didn't have as many chances as I thought they would. They're definitely a better team than Dallas, but Dallas played pretty good defense and thwarted most of the Sounders' opportunities. But here's one that they did not.
Set pieces can be the difference. A couple goals scored off set pieces last year.
Ladero out swinging ball for a header. There's the opening goal. Shane O'Neill. First goal in MLS play in over 6 years has given Seattle that lead early in the second half. Set pieces, just how they drew it up.
Just a clear header at that front post. Here comes the delivery around the corner. A little bit of a pick there from Yamar. That opens up the space. Flicked on header in the back of the net. Nobody at that back post for FC Dallas. And it is Shane O'Neill, the unlikely hero for the Seattle Sounders in the playoffs.
Awesome goal by Shane O'Neill. That's what you want from a corner kick. You have someone coming in and just perfect placement by both the kick and also by where Shane O'Neill was. I think one of the Sounder players kind of screened and actually helped him get open there to get that ball. But there's a lot of coordination in there, right? Just to get your head on that corner kick. Great. So they move on to the Western Conference Finals, which is next Monday. And here is the MLS Cup Playoff Bracket. Again, Seattle won their first game on the 24th, 3-1 over LAFC, and then obviously last night 1-0 over FC Dallas. This Thursday, number one seed in the West, Sporting KC, will host Minnesota. And if Sporting KC wins, they're hosting Monday night's Western Conference Finals. If Minnesota wins, Minnesota travels to Seattle and Lennon Field, is it? I can't remember. Lumen Field. It's a new name. The new CenturyLink name. And so we're cheering for Minnesota to win so that we can host the Western Conference Finals. Then, if we win on next Monday night, we will be in our second straight MLS Cup Finals. And on the East Coast, Eastern Conference, you have New England playing Columbus. And obviously, we want New England to win because Columbus has more points than we. So whoever has the most points in the regular season hosts the MLS Cup. And so right now, if Columbus wins and Seattle wins, Columbus would host. If New England wins and we win, we would host MLS Cup next Saturday, December the 12th. As you guys know, COVID infections are spiking like crazy over the past 3 to 4 weeks. And obviously, Thanksgiving is helping that with all the travel that happened. So all the public health officials anticipate a post-Thanksgiving second spike, because we're already spiking. So it's going to spike on top of the spike. And they anticipate that will continue through the Christmas holiday season. There's a report by the PBS NewsHour.
Even as hopes grow about the distribution of vaccines in the coming months, COVID-19's impact continues to ripple across the U.S. with enormous consequences. More than 138,000 new cases reported over the past day and over 800 deaths. Hospitalizations remain very high, more than 90,000 in all. And 26 states set records for COVID-related hospitalizations during Thanksgiving week. William Brangham has a conversation about the latest.
Judy, over the weekend, public health officials warned that with large holiday gatherings, infections could grow significantly between now and Christmas time. The surge in cases and hospitalizations and deaths come as new questions emerge about the 3 new vaccines that are on the horizon. Dr. Celine Gounder is an epidemiologist and infectious disease specialist at Bellevue Hospital and the New York University Grossman School of Medicine. She's also a member of President-elect Biden's COVID advisory team. Dr. Gounder, very good to have you on the NewsHour. Cases are accelerating across the country over this past month. Can you just give us a snapshot as you see it of how things are going right now?
Well, the nation was already experiencing a surge in cases, essentially our 3rd wave of cases before the Thanksgiving holiday. And the problem with the Thanksgiving, or really any other such holiday, is you're bringing together people in families, friends from all over the country. You're bringing together people of different generations. And what we were seeing in the weeks coming up to this was much of the transmission was being propagated by younger people, so teens, 20s, 30-somethings. And now those folks were being brought into contact with older people who are at much higher risk for severe disease. And while we often see this kind of spread rippling out from the younger people to the older people, Thanksgiving really put that on fast forward. And so we're very concerned about seeing a much, much bigger surge on top of what we already were facing in the weeks ahead.
And do you think of that as an equivalent or greater risk than the sort of ongoing things that we know of as high-risk behaviors, crowding into bars and gyms and stores and other in-person indoor gatherings?
Well, we know that small indoor gatherings with family and friends are very high risk. The way I think about coronavirus is it's a virus that hitches a ride on our love and our trust for other people. And it's precisely the people we're closest to that we are least likely to take measures to protect ourselves. We're least likely to mask around them. We're least likely to avoid contact with these people. And so we're at much higher risk of infecting them unbeknownst to us, or of them accidentally infecting us.
We are also, as I mentioned, seeing a rise in the death toll. And although we've made incredible strides in caring for people who really develop serious COVID-19 infections, why are we seeing that death toll also rise? Is it just because there are so many cases out there?
Yeah, and this is exactly the conversation we were having earlier this year about flattening the curve. The challenge is that when health systems are overrun, when doctors and nurses are so short-staffed, having to each care for so many patients, it's very difficult to deliver the same level of care, to monitor patients as closely. And it's precisely in those situations that the case fatality rate, the risk of dying, shoots up. And so we're already seeing hospitals overrun right now. We're heading into a holiday season when we are usually operating on skeleton crews so that doctors and nurses can themselves spend some time with family and friends over the holidays. And it's against that backdrop that we are now in danger of having an even bigger spike.
Obviously, the one bit of bright news we've been seeing is this news about the vaccines. I mean, you think about 2020, at the beginning of this year, we identified this novel virus. And now at the end of the same year, we've got 3 possible candidate vaccines to target that virus. I mean, that is unadulterated good news. The question, of course, with limited amount of doses available initially, how those get rolled out, who gets them. From your perspective, how should we prioritize who gets those first precious shots?
Right. Well, the idea here is to prioritize for impact, to really protect those at highest risk. So obviously, doctors and nurses, especially those caring for patients with coronavirus, are going to be at extremely high risk, particularly given that in some parts of the country, we're still facing shortages of personal protective equipment. So your masks and your face shields and your gowns and your gloves and so on. So first-line healthcare providers are certainly among those first in line. Other first responders like EMTs, probably law enforcement, firefighters, those kinds of folks. And then beyond that, people who are at extremely high risk of severe complications. So that would include the elderly, people living in nursing homes, as well as communities of color that have been hit disproportionately hard during this pandemic, where we've seen some of the highest rates of cases as well as deaths.
All right, Dr. Celine Gounder, thank you very, very much for being here.
My pleasure.
This is scary. I mean, this is going to continue, unfortunately, through the Christmas season. And fortunately, we do have 3 vaccines. But again, it's going to be pretty restricted in terms of who can get it. All the public health officials said it probably won't be until like April or May to June time period when us and the general population that are not healthcare workers, not old, not in not in nursing homes, will get the vaccine. So plan your plan your trips in the summer. Give me a call. I'm a travel agent working for AJ, Catalyst Travel. Oh, this is good. Gabriel Sterling, he's with the Secretary of State's office in Georgia. And you know how Trump and his minions have been bashing Georgia, even though these public officials who are Republicans who voted for Trump were doing their duty and they basically counted the votes. And Trump lost Georgia. They did 2 recounts. Trump still lost Georgia. And unfortunately, Trump and his minions are attacking him, the Secretary of State, the governor, and actually election workers. And this, I love Gabriel Sterling. He just had enough. He's angry. Watch this.
Just to give you all a heads up, this is going to be sort of a 2-part press conference today. At the beginning of this, I'm going to do my best to keep it together because it has all gone too far. All of it. Joe DeGenova today asked for Chris Krebs, a patriot who ran CISA, to be shot. A 20-something tech in Gwinnett County today has death threats and a noose put out saying he should be hung for treason because he was transferring a report on batches from an EMS to a county computer so he could read it. It has to stop. Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language. Senators, you have not condemned this language or these actions. This has to stop. We need you to step up, and if you're going to take a position of leadership, show some. My boss, Secretary Raffensperger, his address is out there. They have people doing caravans around their house. They've had people come onto their property. Tricia, his wife of 40 years, is getting sexualized threats through her cell phone. It has to stop. This is elections. This is the backbone of democracy, and all of you who have not said a damn word are complicit in this. It's too much. Yes, fight for every legal vote. Go through your due process. We encourage you, use your First Amendment. That's fine. Death threats, physical threats, intimidation. It's too much. It's not right. They've lost the moral high ground to claim that it is. I don't have all the best words to do this because I'm angry. And the straw that broke the camel's back today is, again, this 20-year-old contractor for a voting system company just trying to do his job. Just there. In fact, I talked to Dominion today and they said he's one of the better ones they got. His family's getting harassed now. There's a noose out there with his name on it. It's not right. I've got police protection outside my house. Fine. You know, I took a higher profile job. I get it. Secretary ran for office. His wife knew that too. This kid took a job. He just took a job. And it's just wrong. I can't begin to explain the level of anger I have right now over this. And every American, every Georgian, Republican and Democrat alike should have that same level of anger. Mr. President, it looks like you likely lost the state of Georgia. We're investigating. There's always a possibility. I get it. And you have the rights to go through the courts. What you don't have the ability to do, and you need to step up and say this, is stop inspiring people to commit potential acts of violence. Someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to get shot, someone's going to get killed. And it's not right. It's not right. And y'all, I don't have anything scripted. This is, like I said, I'm going to do my best to keep it together. All of this is wrong. DeGeneva, who said for Chris Krebs to get shot, is a former U.S. attorney. He knows better. The people around the president know better. Mr. President, as the secretary said yesterday, people aren't giving you the best advice on what's actually going on the ground. It's time to look forward. If you want to run for re-election in 4 years, fine, do it. But everything we're seeing right now, there's not a path. Be the bigger man here and step in, tell your supporters, don't be violent, don't intimidate. All that's wrong, it's un-American. I don't know what else to say on that front. I mean, these are elections. One of our goals was to make elections boring again. Well, guess what? That didn't happen. This is all wrong. It's all too much. And I'll leave that for there. Okay.
And Gabriel Sterling is a Republican, and he voted for Trump. That's what we need. We need people in the Republican Party to stand up and call bullshit. And he did. I love it. He was very compassionate. And we need more Republicans to do what Gabriel Sterling did. Oh, Lincoln Project actually created an ad. They're still alive. They're going to be alive because, they're going to morph into more of a, I think, an anti or a more of a sane Republican Party to advocate more for a moderate Republican Party than the current Trump Republican Party. Here is their ad, Whispers 3.
Donald, listen. Just listen. You know what's coming. You had to know.
We were getting ready
Your legacy?
for a big celebration.
Failure. It's over.
And all of a sudden it was just called off.
Your future? You failed. What future?
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will receive the most votes of any presidential ticket ever.
Ouch. No legacy. Lawsuits. Massive debts. Bankruptcy. Humiliation. Melania might not even stick around. No one wants a loser. Your house of cards has collapsed. It's over. Everything you've put off. Total collapse. Everything you've wanted to hide. All your secrets. They're all going to come out. You can't stop it. You need to accept it.
And former Vice President Joe Biden will become the 46th President of the United States.
President Biden. It's over. You can't stop it. Biden won. He beat you. Crushed you. Accept it.
I'm the President of the United States. Don't ever talk to the President that way.
You can't tweet your way out of it.
More than 400 tweets over the last 2 weeks are mostly false claims of fraud.
You can't sue your way out of it.
A dozen of these lawsuits unsuccessful.
Your lawyers are clowns, and your so-called allies won't save you. They were never going to.
Do you have anything to say to the press?
They won't save you. There's just one thing you could do to help yourself now. One small thing. One thing. Get off Twitter. Put down your phone. And for the love of God, in the name of all that's holy, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
I love an ad when they end, I guess an anti-Trump ad. I love when they end the ad that said, shut the fuck up. I love that. That's classic. We love it. Okay, here's a funny James Corden on his late show. When he interviews people from their home, he always asks them, hey, could you share with us something in your home that normally people wouldn't see, and give us the story. So this is a great story from Mayor Pete, what he kept from his first date.
Now, Mayor Pete, we've been doing a thing on the show where a late show and tell, where we ask our guests to share something with us from their home that we may otherwise never get to see. Do you have something you'd like to share with us this evening?
I do. Yeah, here, I'll show it to you. This is a baseball from one of the best days of my life. And I don't even play baseball. I'm not very athletic. But we have a great minor league baseball team here, the South Bend Cubs. And the night that I first met Chasten, who's my husband now, on a date, it was supposed to be a cup of coffee. he got caught up in traffic on his way to South Bend, and we finally met in time for a pint. And I thought, if the date's going well, I'll ask him to come to a ball game with me. I had a couple of tickets in my pocket, and the date was going well. So I invited him to come to the game. We watched the game. At a certain point, we ditched it and took a walk along the river. And at a certain point, we reached for each other's hand at the same time, and it was just that moment we held hands was one of the best moments of my life. But I keep this baseball around because they were giving these out that night, and it's just a reminder of how any given night can change the rest of your life.
See, this is why he should be the President of the United States! Oh! Mayor Pete, I don't know if you're busy for the next sort of few years, but could you come on the show every day? It would just be a real lift for all of us, I've got to be honest. Reggie, do you have a question for our guest this evening?
Yes, I do. Tonight's question goes to the mayor, Pete. Okay. You're one of my favorite pragmatic communicators. How long do you think it'll be before all of politics learns that this is the way to go and we promote more people like you?
Oh, man. I mean, look, we got so many amazing voices out there. I can't believe I'm old enough to say this, but there are people running for office who I think of as a whole new generation, some of whom we're supporting. The most important thing is, we get to decide what gets rewarded and what gets punished in terms of the behavior and vocabulary of our politicians. And sometimes in really unsexy offices that don't get a lot of attention, local office, state office, but making a huge amount of difference. And I think finding the right way to communicate respectfully with people I disagree with too. I'm really excited about what politics could be like in our lifetime. I don't have any illusions about it. I know politics at its worst is ugly. It can be brutal, but it doesn't have to be. And I really believe that if we support great voices whenever we find them and seek them out, and by the way, encourage people to run who maybe haven't been asked or thought of themselves as on the fast track for office, really good things are going to happen.
Well, I verified, and that's correct.
It's absolutely correct.
I love Mayor Pete. As many of you know, I was a huge supporter of him in the Democratic primary. I just wish that, well, Biden is great. Biden is what we need right now, but maybe Mayor Pete could be one of our future leaders. We close out. I always give you previews, right? I want to give you ideas because everyone is in COVID lockdown. You need to know what to see. So here is a really one. Put this on your list. If you don't have Showtime, sign up for Showtime. It's not that cheap. You can share it with like 4 or 5 people. Split the cost. Bryan Cranston is one of the great actors that I love. It's called Your Honor. It's 10 episode legal. I love legal thrillers. It stars Cranston as Michael DeSiato, a respected New Orleans judge whose teenage son Adam is involved in a hit and run that leads to high-stakes game of lies, deceit, and impossible choices. And I think what he hit was somebody connected with the mob. Okay, starring Bryan Cranston. It premieres on Showtime this Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So let's look at this preview of Showtime's Your Honor.
What have you got me into? I've got this. I don't think you have.
(911), what's your emergency? Hello? Are you there?
Dad, I hit somebody, and I left him. I left him there.
Oh my God. Don't tell anyone. Not ever. I can do this. I can keep you safe if no one ever hears about it. The boy you hit this morning is Jimmy Baxter's son. The head of the most vicious crime family in the city.
Whoever you are, wherever you are, you will be found.
I need a favor. No questions asked.
It wasn't a hit and run. It was a hit. There's no other explanation. Look, if you want a war, I'll give you a war.
We go big. We go big once.
My best friend just threw me in the deep end. I've got this, John. I don't think you have.
I promise you, it's going to be all right.
Wow. Okay, I am totally going to watch that. It's Sunday night at 7 p.m. on Showtime. If you know Showtime, sign up for it. In fact, I've done that with my friends. I split like HBO Max with friends, and it's like really cheap when you split it 3 ways. $15 a month, $5 each. It's like I'll pay $5 each for HBO Max for a month. Do the same thing with Showtime. You don't have it. In fact, we have Sling TV, and Showtime's included for like $5 a month extra, whatever. So see it. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, have a good, is it Wednesday? Yeah, have a good Wednesday. Take care.